Hey folks, we're recording at Chainlink SmartCon, and joining me today is Adrian Wall, who is the Senior Director of U.S. Policy at Tron DAO. Adrian, great to have you.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So Adrian, tell us about yourself and what is the Tron DAO?
Sure. So as you mentioned, I am the Senior Director of Policy for Tron DAO. What that means is I'm focused on the policy side of what are those implications whenever we're talking about emerging tech, crypto, stablecoin, blockchain. How should legislators be thinking about it? How do they need to be taking that information so that they can turn it into ethical and responsible policy that's also going to be effective? Not an easy task. And then how do I bridge that gap between legislators and the public? So it's actually, there's quite a bit of into it. Tron has been incredible when it comes to wanting to engage with both sides, not just both sides of the aisle from a government perspective, but also both public and policy. So wanting to connect the community and what their needs are with what the legislators should be thinking about on Capitol Hill.
Right.
And when you talk about what is Tron, Tron is one of the world's largest and most prolific blockchains.
Yep.
Right. And I think that's both by transaction volume and user base.
Sure.
And I think what's really interesting about Tron is their governance structure. So it's run as a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization. And so what that means is the users, those who have the native coin TRX, are the ones who are really in control of making decisions when it comes to infrastructure, how spending is done on security, and things like that. So I think it's a fantastic model for what a DAO really should be. And on top of that, the last thing I'll say, it's built for speed, built for efficiency, built for security. So that's why it's one of the most popular in the world.
The DAO setup is very fascinating and very unique because Tron being, one of the top blockchains, getting a lot of transactions, stablecoin transactions, and so forth. Having a DAO setup is very different from what everybody else is doing, which is really great, and it gives the community more skin in the game, more ability to have a voice and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's a paradigm for what the future ought to look like. When you talk about real decentralized models, decentralized finance, this is what we really mean when we refer to those types of terms. So I think Tron it's always been visionary. It's always been ahead of the curve when it comes to basically setting the tone of where the industry is going towards. So this is no exception.
Now, recently I noticed, well, I shouldn't say recently, but as far as my introduction into the amount of volume of like Tether stablecoins on Tron, it's been pretty incredible. So it seems like Tether uses Tron a lot from a issuing standpoint. Can you tell us a bit about that? And are you working closely with Tether or, as far as how that's done and all that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think the best part about it is it's the market that speaks. It's the users that choose to use Tron to do their USDT transactions. And why? Because of the reasons we just mentioned, right? The DAO governance is a big part of it. That transparency, that user control, the speed, the low cost, the security, all those things are what people want, and they find it on the Tron blockchain. So that's it's a very natural and organic. We have a great relationship with the Tether team, but nobody is forcing anybody to do to use USDT on Tron. Nobody's forcing them to do that. It's a choice.
Sure.
And I love that. It's a choice. People can choose. And so the market decides what is the best way to do things, what is the best product.
Oh, for sure. So as far as use cases, is Tron, as a blockchain being used for tokenization, meme coins, NFTs, things like that? Can people do all those things on Tron?
Tron can be used for a wide range of applications. In this case, I think you're going to see, as we see tokenization start to take off and become more and more mainstream, you're going to see a lot more of those types of transactions on Tron. Because whether you're doing stablecoin or you're doing tokenization, it's the underlying rail that is the same, safe, secure, and low cost. And I think you're going to see a lot of, especially if we talk about, I love tokenization because it's all about liquidity. It's all about taking real world assets and then putting them on rails. And so now we can get really creative. I mean, people are always talking about short-term investments, short-term instruments, T-bills, tokenizing T-bills, et cetera. But where is traditionally liquidity really hard to find? Real estate, for example.
Yeah.
I saw a little bit of the fine art, NFTs, but anywhere where you have traditionally very difficult to find liquidity access. It's perfect for tokenization.
Right.
And so I think that's where we're going to see a lot of innovation.
That's exciting. And I've noticed a lot of building on Tron, not just in the United States, but outside the United States. So Tron seems to be very popular in certain markets. Tell us a bit about the international strategy and getting and meeting with different folks in different countries to build on Tron.
One of the things I love about Tron is that they are very intentional when they think about the needs of their users, right? But at the same time, they want to make sure that the users are the ones that are validating that thought process or those deliberate actions. So they may have these ideas that are very specific to the developing countries in Africa or Southeast Asia or Latin America. But at the same time, there has to be some thought into the sort of the hyper-localization that comes along with each of those geographies. Right. So Tron, on one hand, is being very deliberate about their expansion strategy, but at the same time, everything comes down to the user base. What are they really looking for? And there's a lot of commonalities. So in developing nations, stablecoin is a fantastic way for users to have access to financial markets that they wouldn't normally have.
Right.
Tron is always talking about banking the unbanked.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I always like to say that financial inclusion without financial literacy is a bridge to nowhere. It's access without empowerment.
Right.
And so on Tron, there's the opportunity for that access, but through a lot of the initiatives that Tron has, there are so many educational resources out there. And that's another one of the things that I do at Tron as the senior policy director, is I'm also working on some of that education content and making sure that everybody has access to understand how to really best leverage these technologies.
Oh, absolutely. And education is such a core piece because we're so early. It's kind of analogous to the early days of the internet where everybody's like, what is the internet? How do I use the email? What do I have to dial up? It feels like we're very much here because there's billions of people who don't understand this.
100%. And so the way I look at it, on one hand, you can think that's a daunting task. There are a billion people, or way more than that, actually, way more, that need to learn this.
Right.
But on the other hand, it's like the sky's the limit at this point, right? And so we have the opportunity to get in at the ground level and offer people an alternative. And not just in the developing world. This stuff is really relevant here in the US.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of work without naming names, I do a lot of work with legislators on both sides of the aisle in congressional districts, working with community leaders to make sure that they have the understanding and the education of all these technologies so that they can then pass that message on to their community, members of their community. Because it's one thing if I were to go in and say, stable coins can help you do this. DeFi can help you do this. If you don't have documentation and you don't have access to a bank, here's an alternative. But that message is so much stronger if you get a local community leader who really understands the pain points and the challenges that they have to go through on a day-to-day basis. And they can take that material and sort of put it through that kind of lens. That message hits home really hard. And then now you start to see that kind of adoption increase dramatically in those places where we've done that work. We've seen huge jumps in adoption.
Oh, yeah. Talk to us about what you're seeing here in the United States, because, this year has been incredible for crypto. From a regulation and policy standpoint, we've got the Genius Act that passed. You have a favorable environment, and you got the market structure bill in the Senate. What are you seeing in DC, and what are you hearing?
Now you're talking my language. All right. So let's talk Genius Act real quick.
Yeah.
Huge, incredible momentum that we had getting that passed. That was a watershed moment for the industry. It was an easier topic to tackle, right? Because stable coins fundamentally are easier to understand for the legislators, which was a perfect way for them to kind of get their feet wet. We did a lot of work on Capitol Hill, meeting with legislators and their staffers, getting everybody up to speed on the potential and the possibilities. Some took to it like a duck to water. Some needed a little bit more, I wouldn't say coaxing, but they need a little bit more help. So we spent a little bit more time in their office. And then some of them were just, meh, okay, this is not top of mind for me because I've got so many other priorities in my, whether it's state or district. But those meetings were all there. Everybody was listening. Compare that to, I'd say, 4 years ago. Even if you got in the door, I mean, the ears were closed, ears were shut, eyes were shut. Nobody was paying attention.
Right.
So Genius was fantastic. Now, clarity. My take on it is a little different to, I think, most people in the industry. I'm actually quite optimistic that we're going to get clarity passed. This year, probably not. We're probably looking at Q1, Q2 of next year.
Sure.
But I know for a fact that there are legislators on both sides of the aisle right now, as we speak, that are working on this, on the Clarity Act, drafting new language to make sure that both sides, their concerns are being heard. They're doing it bipartisan, reaching across the aisle in good faith. And that gives me a lot of encouragement. The government shutdown, yeah, it didn't help. Kind of slowed things down.
Right.
But whereas I think a lot of people are very pessimistic and they think clarity is dead, it is not dead at all. I think we're in good shape for next year. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great to hear that is some progress happening despite even government shutdown. And boy, if we can have that, the latest Q1 2026, or like you said, Q2, that would be amazing. Yeah. And you know, once that's passed, are you expecting like a boom in innovation and more entrepreneurs and innovators and things like that?
100%. I mean, people are just lined up waiting for this stuff, for this legislation to pass. Then the innovation is just going to exponentially skyrocket. It's going to be a hockey stick curve.
Oh, sure.
And I cannot wait for it, because even the things that I hear just at conferences like this, I mean, there are some wildly innovative ideas. I used to think streaming payments was like hot shit, but like, and I don't know if I can say that on here, but I used to think streaming payments was hot shit.
Right.
No, man, not at all. That's like, that was, you know, yesterday. If you're still talking streaming payments, I mean, you're behind.
Right.
These people are taking programmability to the next level, and I think it's incredibly cool what's coming down the pipeline.
Oh,
so
sure.
Yes, I'm in policy. I should mention that I'm also the managing director of Digital Sovereignty Alliance, DSA for short. It's a nonprofit based in DC that does the education and advocacy work for crypto, for AI. A lot of this work that we're doing on Capitol Hill. And Tron is also a huge supporter of that initiative as well. But I also come from an investment background. And so I've spent decades looking at investment opportunities in crypto, in emerging tech.
Sure.
And now is the time has never been better than now for really interesting, innovative ideas at reasonable valuations. Yeah. And so it's an exciting time all around for everybody.
For sure. And I mean, certainly appreciate all the great work you're doing, DC, because it's so crucial to get these policymakers and the politicians up to speed and what's happening and the potential of this technology and much more. It feels like, you know, in the 90s where Bill Clinton and Al Gore and, you know, they did the right thing in finding the balance, not over-regulating the internet, but letting it flourish. Yes, you have to put some guardrails in place, but we know the rest is history and what came out of that.
Call me crazy, but I think crypto presents an opportunity to actually repair some of that hostility that you're seeing between the two parties right now. I can't speak for all topics. I mean, there's some real rancor out there,
sure,
right? But everyone can get behind the idea of safer, faster, better payment rails.
Yeah.
And an opportunity to lift people who are in marginalized communities, who are struggling financially, to learn a new way of balancing their budgets, of making the financial system work for them.
Right.
Right. Everyone can get behind that.
Absolutely.
Right. So I feel like once, and they're listening. So both sides of the aisle now, I think this is an area where they can come together.
And even just the simple fact of, you know, you, in addition to what you're saying, you can create a lot of jobs and help boost the economy. It's not just going to be crypto, it's going to be AI and other things. But if we're at the dawn of the next tech boom, right, like we've seen in Web 2 and then Web 1 before that, we got to embrace this and open it up so people can work and make money and, you know.
100%.
Yeah.
And to that point, TradFi, get your act together, bro. You know what I mean? Fucking get your shit together. And like, let's go. Stop playing defense and stop being a stick in the mud and get on board with like where the rest of the world is going.
Right.
And I've seen a lot of it. I don't want to like shame the entire industry. I am starting to see it's not so much exploration as it was a year ago. I'd say TradFi was kind of exploring the idea of crypto.
Right.
Now they're integrating. Right.
Yeah.
You're seeing stablecoin payments being integrated into mainstream banks. You are seeing DeFi access being integrated on a smaller extent, but you're seeing tokenization. Right? Tokenized deposits is a hot topic now.
Oh yeah.
So I like where that's going. We need more of that.
So I don't know if you can, how much details you can share here, but is Tron approaching these institutions who are looking to tokenize and do all these things to try to, be the rail, so to speak, for them to build on?
So without going into too much detail, Tron is being very supportive of first policy. Let's get the policy right without kind of getting ahead of ourselves.
Sure.
Because if we don't get that right, any energy we spend going directly to FIs and saying, hey, we're the blockchain you should use.
Sure.
It's a moot point.
Sure.
And the other thing, as I said at the beginning of this, Tron is fantastic when it comes to letting the customer decide what makes the most sense for them. We are putting out what we think is the best product.
Right.
If I put my Tron hat on, we're putting out what we think is the best product, and it's up to the market to decide whether we made the right choice or not. I think we're going to take that same approach in the US, in the development, as we have in other places. It's worked out everywhere else.
Sure.
No reason why it wouldn't work out here.
It's exciting times,
Yeah,
Adrian, and
100%.
I'm looking forward to the passing of the market structure bill and even future updates around Tron. Thank you so much for joining me.
For sure, my pleasure. Anytime.
This episode is brought to you by Uphold, which is a great crypto platform that makes it easy to buy, sell, and stake crypto assets. Uphold has over 300 plus cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin and all the top altcoins, and they offer a crypto staking on over 19 crypto assets. I've been a user of the platform for many years. They are safe and reliable. They don't commingle or lend out your crypto funds, and they are 100% reserved. You can review their transparency report. Uphold also offers an amazing rewards program where you can earn up to 5.25% on stablecoins. This rewards program also allows you to get 24-hour early access to new tokens that they list. And to participate, you just simply have to open the app once per month, deposit $50 once per month, and trade $50 once per month. And the stablecoins that they support includes Ripple's RLUSD. You can earn up to 5% on that stablecoin and 5.25% on USBC. So if you'd like to learn more about Uphold and all the great services they offer, visit the link in the description.